Luke, how important is it for you guys to get off to a good start in this your first conference game that you've got at home?
It's everything for us. Fast starts definitely what we're looking forward to doing at the beginning of the game. Last game we didn't really do that, and I feel like as a team that's definitely something that we need to kind of emphasize. Just start off, especially in a big game like this, conference game like this against Temple. So
What have you seen on tape from Temple?
they're a good team. They obviously played Oklahoma last week, so a lot of the stuff that they did was all the bad things they did was overemphasized, and some of the good things they did was overshadowed. So, but they're definitely still a good football team, and we know that, so we're not really overlooking them in any way. So we're looking forward to this week.
And what do you guys want to build on from week one going into week two?
I mean, as a defense, we had a lot to improve from week one, but we're looking to really just build on tackling. That was a huge emphasis yesterday in practice, and definitely going forward the rest of the week. And then also just schematically, just doing a bunch of new things. They'll definitely be surprised by what we throw at them.
Thanks.
Flags.
Yep.
Luke, how is Temple different offensively this season from the seasons past? Coach had indicated that they're a little bit doing some different things.
Well, the biggest thing is they lost their quarterback from last year. Warner was a great player, but they got a new guy who he was JUCO, and I think he was their backup last year. He was also a great player. But I mean, they do a lot of RPOs and kind of stuff like that, which is similar to last year. But they're really spreading the ball out, or they did in against Oklahoma. So they're going to be a heavy pass team. But I mean, obviously, every game we focus on stopping the run first. So
last year, Warner was able to pick you guys apart with the short passing game, and I looked. You all were not able to get any pressure whatsoever. You had no quarterback hurries or sacks. Is it not possible to get pressure when they're getting the ball out that quickly? And if so, how do you defend that type of short passing game?
it definitely makes it tough whenever they're getting the ball out in like under 2 seconds, just those RPOs and just quick glances and stuff like that. But we got to do a better job of just getting some pressure on him so he can really feel our presence and make it harder on his reads and just getting his ball the ball to the wide receivers.
Is that frustrating for your position group in particular, because your job is to get after the quarterback in passing situations, and when they're getting it out quickly and you can't get in the backfield, it's tough to do your job.
Yeah, it's definitely attacking our as a Raider and a striker group. It's attacking us mostly, as well as the inside backers. But it makes it tough for us to make reads and kind of decipher run pass, because a lot of the times that's what we got to initially do. So it's good on their part. Slows us down a little bit, but we're going to be practicing and looking to kind of negate that slow, almost like reading that we're doing. So we'll be good on that.
Well, I was just saying, this past week that seemed to give you a little trouble against Bucknell. They were holding it in the mesh for a long time and making it tough to make decisions, and they were able to see what gaps you were taking. Can how do you counteract that?
I think going from Bucknell to Temple this week's going to be a huge advantage on our part, because we kind of saw those RPOs last week, and there's a lot of similarities between what Bucknell did and what Temple's going to do. So I think honestly, it's huge on our part. We kind of we're one step ahead. We're more prepared than we would have been if we would have played another team before Temple. But I think that it's going to help us dramatically.
So in your opinion, what does the defense need to improve upon? I'm sure that Coach Volker had some critiques for you after Bucknell, even though after the first series you played pretty well.
Mm-hmm. Yep. We can always get better at tackling. That's an emphasis all the time. And then just communication. We're trying to over-communicate. There was some miscommunication on the front and the back end against Wagner, or against Bucknell. So we're just really trying to over communicate in practice and make sure everyone understands the checks and the plays that we're doing, so that we don't really have any lapses or miscommunication that led to that first touchdown of the last game.
Coach Newberry talked during the post-game press conference about getting pressure, but then not getting the quarterback on the ground. And I know you mentioned that the quarterback from Bucknell was elusive, but still, there was a couple times it looked like he had him dead to rights and he escaped. How do you think?
We just got to emphasize our points on the quarterback and really kind of keep him in the pocket. That's half of our job is to rush the offensive tackle, and I think it kind of you're trying to get past the offensive lineman, and then you forget that sometimes you got to like keep that edge on the quarterback or whatever it is. But just making sure that you understand where you're supposed to be on the quarterback when you are rushing the passer, that is huge for our defense and just keeping the integrity of the defense. So that's always an emphasis on our part, and we need to do a better job going into this week with that.
And so who's responsible for containment? Is that you and Jackson, or is it different players on that type of situation?
It varies depending on the plays, but obviously as outside backers, we are responsible for that a lot of the time. But it may vary depending on the play.
I see Pete's jumped on. I'll pass it along then.
Go ahead, Pete.
Thanks, Bill. Luke, you watch a guy like John Marshall, take basically a safety and wide receivers build and become, a devastating pass rusher with a similar frame. What did you take from that? And now that you're doing it yourself, again, we think of pass rushers as 6'5", 250 who explode off the edge. What's been the key to you trying to get to that level as well?
Yeah, my freshman year having John in the room, it was great just to be able to see how he just really goes at the game, and he was able to develop his pass rush into, I think he was the sack leader set the record for sacks his senior year. But just seeing him use his athleticism to his advantage, and he may have been undersized like I am, he was still able to use that athleticism to kind of really even out the matchup with the bigger offensive lineman. And I've used that and taken that into my game and just kind of using my athleticism to be able to get around the O-lineman and get to the quarterback in different ways like John did.
We talk, all these fundamental subtle things. Is it technique? Is it just a willingness to want to beat the guy blocking you? Sometimes it's a tight end, sometimes a tackle, sometimes a running back. Just what is the key to developing good, rushing skills when you're called upon to do that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Coach Brown always says how you just have to have the want to, and that's like the foundation. But as you further get along with your pass rush moves and stuff, technique definitely comes a lot more involved. And I think that's something that I've picked up over this past off season, and kind of really focusing on like basic techniques of all you need is a few moves and being able to use that to your advantage in order to beat the O-lineman. It starts off with a 1-2, and then after that it's mostly technique and just understanding the O-lineman, what he's doing and what you can do to counteract that.
What is it like to play for Coach Brown? Because that dude looks like he's got the kind of energy that you would want to go to work with, no matter what your job is. If that guy is in the cubby hole next to you, whatever it is, he seems like a guy you want to be on the bus with.
Definitely. You couldn't say it any better. As a player, he's the type of guy that you want to be coached by. He loves the game of football more than anyone I know. He plays it with so much passion. He coaches it with so much passion. And you can see that, like, being coached by him, you can tell that he was a player, and just having that player to player and player to coach relationship with him that you're not able to have with most coaches it's incredible. You're always ready to work every practice. He'll get you going regardless of if it's a Monday where we're just we're basically fixing things up from the past game, or if it's a Tuesday or Wednesday when we're really hitting each other and we're going at it in practice against the offense. Like he'll have you ready to go any day of the week, any hour of the day. He does a great job of really just motivating everyone.
I know I'm taking an extra question here, but I do want to follow up on that. As a player, does it make it easier to play for a coach like that? Does that type of thing matter to a player?
I can definitely attest that yes, it does matter. You're willing to go to greater lengths and you're willing to do more for that type of coach. And he gets everything out of you, and that's all you can ask for as a player, is that your coach wants and gets the most out of you. So
Awesome. Thank you.
yes, sir.
The 3-question rule is waived if there's 3 people or less on the call. More than 3 is when we had the 3-question mandate. Wyckoff.
Luke, why were you so attracted to the service academies when you were looking at colleges? I know you also got offers to Air Force and Army. And how has it turned out now that you're at Navy with that choice?
Yeah, they always say that the reason that you come here will change. So like the reason that you stay and the reason that you come here are completely different. And really, my basketball coach in high school, he was a huge role in my life. And he went to the academy, played basketball. I think he graduated around like 2002. But he kind of showed me after I got offered like all the good stuff that the academy has to offer. But really, when I came here on my visit and met the coaching staff, I knew that there was no other place I wanted to be. I visited the other academies, I visited some other schools, but they didn't really welcome you with open arms like Navy did. Coach Volker, Coach Newberry, and all of them. And but I mean, when you come here, you really everyone talks about the people. Like you don't understand how great of people are here until you do come here and just get to interact with amazing human beings every day, and it changes you as a person. So I'm grateful for just being surrounded by such amazing people here. So
how do you like the regimen and the structure of your day at the Naval Academy?
it's nice. It's a lot sometimes, but you know what you got to get done, and there's no way around that. So you'll learn as you go through your years at the academy how to manage your time correctly and how to do all these different things in order to get what you need done. And I feel like, as me personally, I flourish in this type of environment where I know what I need to get done, and I'm able to do that. So.
And what's your favorite thing to do on the yard when you're not practicing football and not in class?
I'm probably always with some of my friends when I'm just not in class or not in football. Just playing video games, just listening to music, whatever it is. But I'm usually always with some of my friends here.
Thanks.
Yep.
You play NCAA football, and if you do, are you happy with Luke Pirris in the game?
Yeah, I played it a good amount. But the overall, I'm not too worried about that. I know they'll change as my time goes on here, but yeah, it's just cool being in a video game to begin with. So I'm just grateful for that.
Every time I get a sack, it seems to be Luke Pirris. So I think you're pretty good in the game.
Thank
Wags.
you.
So, Luke, I mean, on paper, in terms of the stats, you had a really good game against Bucknell, but Ricky Brown's probably a tough grader. What did he get any downgrades or anything?
Yeah, he'll go through and he'll grade every play. His thing is that you're always getting better, you're getting worse every day in practice, every play. So there was a few times where I messed up a few reads on the offensive lineman's block schemes and stuff like that. And there's just always room to improve. So if he's not grading me hard, then that just would be hurting me as a player. So there's some things that he definitely said that I need to get fixed, and I've been focusing on that in practice. So there's always room to improve though. So I'm not really too focused on the stats or whatever it may read.
So we talked after the game about trying to, you know, get played better against Temple after what happened last season. Now that you've probably been able to watch the film of that game, what do you all have to improve to make sure what happened last season doesn't occur again?
Honestly, we came out into that game very like it was a sterile environment. We were playing in Lincoln Financial, which probably holds 60,000 people. I'm not exactly sure, but there was only like 5,000 in the stands, and we didn't bring our own energy. We went in a sterile environment and we didn't bring our juice that we needed. And it started off with like a slow start to the game, and we just never really got into a groove of things. And then it wasn't until the end where we kind of started picking things up, and it was already too late by then. But we got to focus. There's obviously scheme stuff, but just coming ready to work every day in practice in order to get into a fast start, like we talked about earlier, and just be able to just get them out the game early and just get on top of them as defense and just get to them with pressures and different stuff like that in order to just really get to a hot start.
Thanks.
Piggybacking off that, how important is the brigade and bringing the juice at maybe Marine Corps Memorial Stadium? What does that do for the team?
It's huge. Yeah, they were great in our last game against Bucknell, and just having all 4,000 of the brigade there, it's a huge advantage. I know, like the first time I was able to play at home, it was crazy just looking up and seeing all the students. I can't imagine as an opponent what they got to see, what they got to feel. Seeing all the students there, it's definitely a huge advantage on our part.
Pete,
Luke, I know he played a different sport, but being able to play Notre Dame and kind of have that little friendly, poke with your dad, what's that like?
Yeah, my dad went to Notre Dame. He wrestled there. So my entire life growing up, I've been an Irish fan. And whenever I got offered by Navy, that was definitely something I took into account, being able to play them every year. And it didn't really set in until last year, whenever I was actually able to get on the field against them, like how amazing of an opportunity it is. But I mean, I don't really see them as a team that I like anymore. So it's a new view. And my dad said these next 2 years, these past 2 years as well, he's a Navy fan for that game. But I know right after I graduate, he'll be going back to the Notre Dame side.
That's all right. We all grew up Notre Dame fans because of the Lindsey Nelson Notre Dame football report. It was about the only college football we got before it was always on TV. People don't realize you're a pretty darn good basketball player. Did basketball ever have a chance for Luke Pirris?
So originally in high school, going from my freshman to probably up until my junior year, I thought I was going to play basketball in college. I loved basketball. I played travel ball. I started as a sophomore in high school. I did all this like preparing to play at the next level. And then whenever I got my opportunities to play in college football, it just panned out a lot better. I got a lot of better offers for football rather than basketball. So I just decided it would just be better in my interest to continue football at the next level instead of basketball. But I mean, I'll always love basketball, and I feel like it helps me as a football player just in so many different ways. Just rushing the passer, dropping in coverage, like it allowed for me to really bring my game in football to the next level. So I'm grateful for what basketball has brought me.
You ever go over to Halsey and chop it up with the guys over there a little bit at all?
The coaches wouldn't want me to say yes, but yeah, I've definitely played a few games. During the season I won't, just because the risk of injury, but
sure.
In the off season I'll get over there as much as I can with the guys. And there's some legit hoopers on the team, so it's there's always good runs going on.
Well, there's always the second semester of senior year. Just remember that, just in case.
Trust me, I know.
I got to ask you, we talked with Brandon Chapman yesterday. You have all these, extracurricular clubs and everything on campus. Is there a Florida Players Club? Because there's some dudes on this roster, and I'm talking dudes from Florida. And just what is it about that state, that gets the best out of athletes? And obviously there's just so many of them in so many different sports everywhere.
Yeah, I have a biased opinion, but I obviously think football in Florida is the best out of any state. But we just breed a different type of players. Players with a little bit of swag. You got a little bit of that juice that you don't really see in any other states. I don't know if it's Florida or it's just the players that have made it what it is. But I mean, Chat, Kendall Whiteside, he's from Tampa. There's some good players from all across Florida. So it's definitely a community that we all got that respect for each other playing high school football in Florida. But yeah, it's legit in high school when you're going up against like 4 and 5 stars every other game. It makes you a better player.
When you hit the fork in the road with these two sports, football turned out kind of what you hoped it would be. And did you see yourself somewhere down the road as this kind of linebacker that would have a chance to make difference making plays every week at the Division I level?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I've always had that belief in myself. You kind of got to play well at this level. You gotta be confident in your craft. But I mean, I'm just grateful for. I don't know if I would say I expected all of this, but I'm not surprised, to say the least.
Awesome stuff. Appreciate you. Thank you, sir. Good luck this week.
Mm-hmm.
You were playing pickup with, and you could pick any 4 of your teammates to join you. Who would be your starting 5, with you obviously being one?
Yep. So I would probably have Stephen Glenn at point guard. He's a punter, but he's a real hooper. Probably DP, Sean Peel at 2, me at the 3, and Jake Lusk at the 4. If you watch his high school highlights, you'll see why I pick him. At the 5, this might cause a little chaos, but I got Peter Roll. He's like Dennis Rodman, or he's like doesn't really got too much of the offensive side, but we got plenty of scores already. But he'll play some defense.
That's great.
I'm going to put Landon Robinson in there and tell him to just set picks and rebound.
That's not a bad idea, but then when you see him on that court, you'll realize why I did not pick him.
Coach, what's been the point of emphasis that you've wanted to see in development from week 1 to week 2 against Temple?
I think just doing everything better is really what it comes down to. Obviously it's week 1. We got to take a big jump this week between week 1 and week 2. And that's just been our main focus. Scott is just doing everything that we do, just do it to the best of our ability, and constantly strive to get that done.
Folks might look at a box score and see a huge blowout in numbers for Temple, but I know when you guys looked at the film, you're seeing a much different team. What do you see from their offense?
Yeah, I mean, the score is the score, but you put them on film and you see a big, strong, fast, athletic bunch. They got skill all over the place. I think quarterback's a really good player. They got a big, strong offensive line that moved us around last year. And then they've got skill at tight end and receiver position. It's an American Athletic Conference team. It's a conference opener. It's a huge game. We know every week in this conference, that everybody is big. They're athletic. They're strong. And it's a major, major challenge for us.
What kind of memories does players and coaches have when you really go after a game like you guys did last year and kind of swing and miss against Temple? Is that something that players remember when they see that uniform on the field the next year, or they've moved on?
I don't know how you couldn't, to be totally honest with you. This game is special, and when you don't perform the way that you expect to, like, those ones stick with you. They don't leave. And that was a tough day for us. And we got a lot of guys playing for us that weren't in on that ball game, so it doesn't have direct correlation with anything that's going on right now. But the guys that did play, those you certainly remember those things. And kudos to Temple. They played really, really good football. It was hard to watch for us this summer. It was hard for us to watch again this week, and we got to do everything in our power to play to the best of our ability on Saturday to have a shot to win.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Wags.
So what was your overall assessment of the defense's performance on Saturday?
Yeah, I thought we played really hard. I was really pleased with that. I thought the guys played well in terms of their effort piece of things, but I think there's just a lot that we got to clean up. And really, when it comes down to fundamentals, we need to be a better fundamental football team. We talk about our pillars, our tackling, our block destruction, our ball disruption, our fixation to detail. I don't think those were where they need to be, and we got to take a huge step in those categories this weekend.
The first drive, not the way you would want to start a season. It's particularly on the touchdown pass. What happened there?
Yeah, just a total lack of communication, and the old adage of 10 guys doing something right and one guy doing something wrong, and they were able to find that one guy. So we got to get those things fixed, and that all starts with me. From the communication on my end to make sure we're all on the same page. That's something that obviously can't happen again.
On paper, Jackson Campbell had a really big game, but when we talked to Coach Newberry Monday, he indicated there were some mistakes he made. It wasn't flawless. Was it just, a couple times when I know last year he had a tendency to try to, play outside the defense sometimes. Was it that type of situation or just little tiny mistake?
I think no one's ever played flawless. That's basically impossible in a football game. And that's what we're all chasing, though. Like, we're all chasing perfection, and we just sort of catch excellence along the way. And Jackson did some great things out there, and he did some things that he'd love to have back, and we'd love to have back. He's a disruptive player for us. And I expect him to just keep getting better and better and better. And I think he's hungry, wants to improve, wants to get better. I gave him a tough time because he dropped that interception right on the second series right there. And obviously that was an opportunity for an explosive play for us on defense. But I think the world of Jackson. I love his work ethic, love his enthusiasm. I think he's just going to keep getting better and better. He's going to be a heck of a football player for us.
Luke Pirris was very active, 8 tackles, 2.5 for loss, 1.5 sacks. How did you think Luke played?
Yeah, I think there's always some meat on the bone. That's for sure. I think Luke's got to be consistent with his technique, his presentations, different things that we ask him to do, in and out of the game. I thought he did really, really well with several of the intricate things that we asked him to do that took some stuff away that they were trying to get. He's got to be a little bit better with some of the techniques that we're asking him to get done. And, Coach Brown, I got full confidence in him to be able to get those things done. But again, I love Luke Pirris. I just think he keeps getting better and better. He's slapped on some weight, and that's kudos to him and the strength staff. The game, I think, is starting to slow down for him quite a bit. And I think he had a couple really nice pass rush moves in the football game. And I think that's something that he's worked really hard on this offseason. It's something that we got to continue to get better at. And, as coaches, man, we want him to bat 1,000. Like, we want everybody out there to get an A. That's what we're striving for, and that doesn't always happen. But we're really pleased with Luke. But there's a ton of meat left on that bone, like I said before, and we just got to keep getting better.
It seemed that one issue that gave you problems was he was holding the mesh for a long time on that RPO. He was really, slow playing it, and that makes it difficult because they're reading what lanes you're taking, and they had some nice runs. Can you talk about that? And I know Temple will do some of that. How do you correct that when teams are really holding it in there for a long time.
Yeah, we just can't be greedy with our blitz paths is really what it comes down to. And we just have to do our job is that was the major issue there and it was guys probably getting a little greedy, trying to make every play instead of just their play, and take care of their responsibility on that particular play. And we got to make sure that we get that nipped in the butt really quick as coaches and go from there.
Coach Newberry talked after the game. He did a very good job pressuring the quarterback, but he didn't always get him on the ground. There were a couple times, I particularly think of the moment Crane LaFrond had him right, literally arm's length. But he said you got to improve on your points on the quarterback as far as the take and getting hands on him, getting him down.
Yeah, that was a major emphasis going into the game. Is we had to do a great job caging the quarterback. And it'll be the same type of thing this week. I think that this guy is extremely athletic, but I really thought going into the game, Bucknell's quarterback was a slippery dude in the pocket. I mean, he made JMU look silly at times in the first game last year. We showed those things. We were able to get to the quarterback. I thought that was one of the awesome things in the game. Obviously, he had 4 sacks, which was solid, but knocked him down another 11 times, and we're able to do that with minimal amount of rushers, which was a good thing. So I'm excited about that. Again, like as coaches, we always want to bat 1,000 on those things. With the ones that get away drive us crazy. Those ones keep us up at night, and that's what we're looking to correct and move forward from. But I know Crane, next time he's in that situation, will be able to draw on those experiences and go from there. And we had a lot of guys that, got out there and got opportunity to play, 2s, 3s, 4s, all that type of stuff. And, I think that's big for all those guys, Wags, is to be able to have some game reps and be able to see where they're at in game competition in Navy Marine Corps Memorial Stadium. And obviously us get better and better from those moments and from that opportunity.
So what do you feel like your team needs to do, the defense in particular, needs to do better on Saturday?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a fundamental guy. Like I always think it comes down to fundamentals. I think our tackling, our block destruction, the way we attack the football, our communication, all those things, we just got to keep getting better and better at that stuff. It's got to be cleaner. It's got to be crisper. We've got to eliminate some of just some of the little errors with those things that cause us to be just a smidge off. Because in the American Athletic Conference, playing Temple, that's where all our focus is right now. Like if you're off just a little bit, you don't have a chance. You've got to play great fundamental football just to have a shot to beat these guys. This is a big, athletic, talented bunch, and we've got to play. We got to play our best on Saturday to have a shot. Thanks, Wags.
We'll go back around. Scott Wyckoff.
Coach, how do you evaluate the headset communications and also the use of the tablets? How did that work out for you?
Yeah, I think Coach Newberry set up a plan throughout fall camp that really helped us get comfortable with it. I think our guys that are in it in practice and things like that, we got multiple guys that wear it during practice, so they get comfortable in it. So it's not the first time. Like we talked about before, they got really comfortable with it to the point where I think deep down inside, they all want it. They all want the green dot. They all want that. A couple of the guys down there called it a cheat code on some stuff. So they just sort of get me in their ear, telling them what's going on and that type of thing. But it's been great. I think it's a big deal. It's probably not quite the advantage defensively that it is for offense. And it's a little different in college football than it is in pro football, but it's excellent. And then the video stuff on the sideline is great. I think it's something as coaches we're just going to keep working at to get better and better and to be able to access that and use that as best as we possibly can. But I think to get those, pictures worth 1,000 words. You can draw things up on the board and all that type of stuff, but you can actually see guys doing it. And it's not just a picture, it's video. I don't know how many words video is worth, but it's a pretty special deal. It's a really nice thing. And I know some of the old coaches don't like that type of stuff, but I think it's great for this generation of players.
I know each day of practice has a theme. What's the theme on Wednesday, and why is it important that you do what you do on Wednesdays?
Yeah, it's Work Wednesday, and we gotta go out there and we got to go to work. We got to put the hard work in today for us to continue our preparation to be successful. And like our big thing is our confidence comes through our preparation. So we have to work the way that we want to play on Saturday. And it's not just to do things till we get them right. We do things till we can't get them wrong. And that's what we're aiming for out there every time that we attack the practice field, and especially on Work Wednesday. We're going to get out there. We're going to get after it. We're going to battle against each other in several different periods. Coach puts together a phenomenal practice plan that really challenges us and challenges the speed and the physicality with which we need to play on Saturday.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Scott.
I think video is worth 1,000 words per frame.
Per frame. There we go. I like that.
Wags.
Wanted to ask you a little bit about Marcus Blazard. When did you find out he was going on a mission?
We knew that during recruiting. That was something that, during recruiting we talked about with him during the recruiting process. He had not 1,000% committed to the mission at that time, but all arrows sort of pointed to that he was going to do that during his career here. So we knew that was a potential deal. It's a blessing to have him back. Absolutely love the work that he's putting in and what he's doing. And I think he's just going to keep getting better and better too. The fact that he's not a senior and he's a sophomore is pretty doggone cool right now.
I thought that was something that most of the times they did right after high school, in between high school and college. That's what Coach Niemot's kids did usually. It's just, I guess it just in this instance, it was worked out better for him after he got to Navy.
Yeah, I think that was his plan the whole way. I don't know exactly how all that stuff works in their faith, but that was his plan the whole way. They were in constant communication, him, his father, his mom, about everything that they planned on doing and how it was going. He stayed in communication with us with emails, probably once or twice a month. We communicated like that. I shared them with the linebackers at times when we sent pictures and things like that over here to try to keep them on their minds a little bit. But I don't know exactly, Wags, how they decide to do those things, whether they want to do it here or there. It's just that's what ended up working best for him. And I think part of the fact you have to ask him was get to the academy, which is obviously a really hard thing to do, is to get a nomination and obviously get here to the academy. Let's get entrenched here, play a year of football, get a year of school, and then take a 2-year hiatus and then come back and re-enter midshipman status.
Wags, I know the majority of BYU kids go after their freshman year in college.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
So during that first season here, did he show potential? Did you enough for you to say, doggone, I wish he wasn't going on that mission, or I can't wait for him to get back from that mission?
Yeah, it's when he left, you're like, man, shucks, he was Diego's backup by the end of the year, his freshman year, and really had been coming along, and actually played in the Temple game a little bit back then. What would have been 2021? So at the time, you're like, man, it stinks to lose him, but man, some delayed gratification. We're happy to have him back, that's for sure.
So during the mission, I mean, he probably wasn't, you weren't sending him film or anything. He was focused on that. So he basically was totally away from football for those 2 years.
Yeah, I mean, you got to talk with him and with his lifting regimen and workouts and things like that. I think he was working out in a garage or a basement or a cave. I don't know where the heck he was working out, and was making makeshift weights and things like that to try to keep his physique. Whatever he did worked. I don't know if you've seen him, but whatever he was doing, I probably need to prescribe to that same plan. because he's slapped together now. But I know his dad was really great in the process, communicating between us and the staff of what needed to be done. The one to make sure we get him back into school, all that type of stuff, but make sure he comes back in great shape. Once he got back here, like I said before, he watched more film on his 3-60 count than anybody on the football team outside of one guy. So he did an amazing job getting here, putting the work in to get himself back up and running to be an integral member of this football team.
So when did Marcus get back and rejoin the football program? Summer, June?
Yeah, so he was back here in the summer. He was here for all the OTAs, everything like that, all through June. So I think he got back in the States sometime in early May, and then got here late May, early June. But he was back here, got all the OTAs, got the whole summer program. That was huge to get him back with Coach Carizzi and get him back into football shape. And just like everything he did, he attacked it with a ton of zeal, a ton of enthusiasm, and came in great shape. Couldn't be more pleased with where he's at right now.
So did he do spring ball that freshman year? He didn't leave for the mission until after the school year, right?
Yeah, so he did spring ball his freshman year, and then did spring ball his freshman year, did his summer training, and then he left for Guatemala after that.
So it's kind of amazing, really, 2.5 years off of football, and he's back to the point where he's contributing. He's on the depth chart. That's remarkable. I mean, you would think, he's in many ways like a freshman again, starting from scratch. That's pretty amazing, don't you think?
Yeah, there's not a day that goes by that I'm not thankful for the Lord to bring him back here. It's a great deal. He brings, it's wild because that he's a sophomore, but he's got a ton of maturity for a sophomore. Obviously, it's somebody that's played as a freshman, has a year under his belt, all that type of stuff. Was a contributor as a freshman. To take that time off, to continue to mature, and give to a lot of people. I think if you met Marcus and know Marcus, he's got a great heart. And for him to go on that mission, I'm sure the people that he was with, and the people that he had an opportunity to talk with, really valued that relationship, and I'm sure he did a phenomenal job with what they asked him to do on his mission.
And lastly, on Marcus, what do you feel makes him a good football player?
Fast, he's physical. He plays the game the right way. He plays our style of football. He goes out there and wants to inflict pain. Like that's it. He plays football in a violent manner. He preps in the right way. He studies. It's very important to him. He's hungry. And that's what we want from our guys, is we want to see guys that are hungry, guys that are on edge, guys that are never satisfied with whatever result that we get. Win, lose, loss, draw. It's about the way that we perform to our standard. And I think he just plays football the right way. He plays fast. He plays physical. He plays smart. He plays with his teammates. Like, he genuinely gets excited when other people make plays. You can tell it's really important to him. He brings a ton of value to this football team. I'd take 1,000 of them. Love having him on the football team.